We are Bragg, makers of the apple cider vinegar with the big yellow label. And while some people love the power of our apple cider vinegar, some people love other things too, like honey and cayenne and cranberry and citrus, and not just an amazing wellness drink. That's why we've made Bragg apple cider vinegar blends with honey or honey cayenne or citrus ginger or cranberry apple. So you have more ways to love us and drink us and stay healthy with us. It's the same Bragg, now with a little something extra. Bragg, it's not weird if it works.
A trial is underway challenging Measure 114, an Oregon state law that sets some of the toughest gun restrictions in the nation. Now, this measure has been tied up in federal and state courts since passing in November 2022. And while we await its fate, today on CityCast Portland, we want to revisit a conversation we had with the leader of a local organization that's fighting against gun violence. Lionel Irving leads the nonprofit Love is Stronger, and we spoke to him earlier this summer on why, if we want to see safer streets, organizations like his will need continual investment from our city and our community. It's Monday, September 25th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Lionel, thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. I love some of the work you guys been doing. I watched some of you guys' previous podcasts. You had some great conversations. So I really feel honored, to be a guest on you guys' show.
Oh, thanks, Lionel. You have so much experience preventing gun violence in this city. What do you think people tend to get wrong when they talk about gun violence in Portland specifically?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that all the gun violence is majority gang violence. And it's really getting clumped into one, category when, really 40% of gun violence is from the homeless camp. And, 60% of the drug trade is happening through the homeless camp. And so I think a lot of the crime is kind of pinpoint on the gang members. But not to say that they're not responsible for a lot of the crime and the gun violence, just that they're solely responsible for it, I think is the misconception.
Yeah, the gun violence I'm afraid of is probably the one that's least going to happen, which is someone just coming in a random spot and just shooting it up, Just to hear that it's more of a situation that's being exacerbated by our houseless situation. I mean, your organization had over 600 interventions last summer. What are your people in the organization doing? Like, how are they preventing this kind of gun violence then?
So we're solely focused on gang violence, right? Because all of my guys are gang veterans. And what makes us so unique in our conflict resolution strategies is that we're on the spot. So we're not a reactionary program, we're a proactive program. So we employ guys who are influential in their respective neighborhoods. And we employ them to de-escalate, redirect, interrupt gun violence. They are the guys that these young kids are looking up to. They are the guys that these guys are calling for advice.
Right.
So these are the guys that we need to have underneath our banner so we can give them the advice that they need to give their friends.
Right. So is it important to build relationships between the police and the community? Because I remember they had that gang unit that was really, really controversial. And so a lot of people have had pretty negative experiences with the Portland police, specifically trying to mitigate gang gun violence. What are you seeing right now?
Well, I'm a generational gang member. So I dealt with the gang task force back in the 90s. When it was really, a predatory task force where there was no problem where they would hit you with billy clubs, and getting pulled over too much was never a question like it is nowadays. And so I'm on the FITCOG, which is the Focused Intervention Task Force Oversight Committee, which is that COG, the Focused Intervention Team is focused solely on gun violence on all forms. If it's gang violence, homeless gun violence, road rage, terrorist shooting, whatever it is, this is their job. And I'm on that task force so the community doesn't have to feel like it did in the 90s,
right,
in the early 2000s, where they were getting over police, because no longer is it acceptable for the police to throw out a dragnet and just arrest as many people as possible. That's not the solution.
Right.
We want the police to be intentional. If they're bad guys that who are bad guys, then why are you getting other guys? Let's go get that guy. If he's a criminal, we might not be able to get him for shooting, but you might be able to get him for selling drugs, pimping girls.
Right.
It's a host of laws I'm pretty sure he's breaking. So why throw a dragnet and get a whole bunch of kids who are traumatized that got guns now and arrest them and say you're solving gun violence? When we know even the gang violence is only driven by about 15 kids. and young adults.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, what changes do you think need to happen in order for the work that you're doing to like fully coalesce with the Portland police, the direction that they're going?
Yeah, so we're in there. We're doing that work right now. Just for a guy like me on the FITCOG,
Yeah.
right, having confidential clearance, being able to give the police advice on how to serve our community, because the police is a service unit. So we want them to be in our community in a service mindset.
That's right.
So I could be in the room when we know if the police have an issue with another police officer, their culture is to handle it on the lowest level. And then if it's going to push itself up if it's too big. We want you to serve the community the same way. You handle it on the lowest level. And then if it's too big, it's going to push itself up. That actually creates a service mindset, creates an ally mindset. And so we were doing a lot of great work with the FITCOG in building credibility and relationships back with the community. And one of their main tools that they're using is when I used to be a kid selling on the corners and the police used to park on the corner for whatever, maybe they're there for selling drugs, it's drug dealing, I'm there just hanging out. And they would be policing me in that moment because I didn't know why they were there. Right. Now we got the FITCOG going up there saying, hey, to the guys occupying the streets, hey, how y'all doing? Hey, we over here because there's a lot of gunfire, and we over here to protect y'all too. They've been talking to guys who got drugs in their pocket. They might got a gun on them, but they're not over there just to jump out and start patting guys down. They over there because the area is hot, and we know when the police show up, the bad guys is going to leave. So police, please go park over there so the notorious guys can get up out of here. And then it builds a relationship when the police pull up and tell guys why they're there. That's how you begin to trust back into the community, because now their police in our community are serving our community the same way they're serving their community, because they're going to go talk to their neighbors.
Yeah, yeah. So it's curious. So you're basically saying that a way that the police should is trying to build this trust is by not arresting like lower level crimes and kind of focusing on the higher more violent crimes.
Focus on the head.
On the head, yeah. Interesting, because I mean, when I hear that, of course, I'm just like, yeah, well, drug dealers should be arrested. And you know what I mean? Like, that comes up and you're just like, no, because that is not going to be solving the gun violence. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, it's exacerbating the problem.
That's so interesting.
Why are we going to keep arresting minor drug dealers who guys were going to probably transition out to lifestyle? And flooding our prison systems up and destroying our taxpayers' money, while the guys who are influencing the guys are still running the streets. And we know who they are. Mm-hmm. The police know who these guys are. You know who is telling kids to go shoot. You know who is running the drug rings, because then we don't have a whole bunch of mass incarceration. Because right now, you could go pull over any young black man in Portland, and most likely you're going to find a gun, because they all scared. Mm-hmm. I got nephews right now, 12 and 13. I took 3 guns off of my 13-year-old nephew already in the last 4 months.
What are they scared of?
It's too many gunshots. All their friends are dying. The last 2 years, you know how many young, great men and kids have died? And so they just want to make it home. They're telling me, my nephew say, Uncle, I ain't going to shoot nobody. I just want to make sure I make it home. I'm on defense. And I tell my nephew, it ain't no right way to have a gun illegally, mm-hmm. right? You go through the proper channels, and when you're old enough that you can get the proper permits to have a weapon. There's other ways to handle your business. But he said, everybody got a gun, huh? Because they do. And where do you think these guns is coming from? How all our kids got guns all of a sudden? It's an influx of guns. When there was no bullets, a bullet shortage, all our kids have bullets. That don't even make no sense to me.
What's your theory? Where do you think the guns are coming from?
Well, it's a way bigger problem than these guys. These guys ain't no mechanics. They got guns, modified AK-47s, mm-hmm. and they don't got no whole bunch of money. So it's a bigger problem. That's why we got to go up the chain and get the bigger fish who really capitalizing off these kids killing themselves. Because you know how much it costs for a murder in Portland when the body hit the ground?
How much?
As soon as the body dropped, it's $1.5 million.
What?
That's just on the ground. And now it could be upwards of $10 million for each body, minimum of $5 million. Because then you got to think about what if they catch the guy and send him to prison and all these other things, all these other attributes with the family. It costs the city up to $5 to $10 million per murder.
That's insane.
So it's a lot of money involved. Mm-hmm. And then we got to look at how much money is put into preventing gun violence. It's not even close compared to how much it's costing the community. It's not even a tenth. So there's a bigger problem with investing in gun violence prevention, not just with the city and the county, but also community members.
Right. So
how many community members? Oh, go my bad, because I go.
No, it's okay. No, because I'm going to ask them. So the police is one part of solving gun violence, and the other part is the community. So what does the community need to do different? What's the I mean, aside from your organizations like yourself?
Well, everybody has a role to play, right? But the community is lacking their responsibility is these are our kids, for one.
Mm-hmm.
I know my nephew is walking around here trying to get a gun, got a gun. That's community knowledge. Because every time I see somebody, hey man, if you see my nephew, he trying to get a gun, he might got a gun, call me. Make sure he don't get in no problems. So I'm communicating. So everybody, they see my nephew, they say, hey man, your nephew at the game, is he cool? Let me right up there. There's too many community members not saying, hey, my kid is struggling, my kid has a weapon, I don't know what to do. Lionel, come over here and talk to him. Because we might not be able to stop the kids from having guns, but we can influence the way they are operating with them. Because if you got a gun, then we need to educate you. If we can't stop you from getting it, at least let's educate you on the ramifications when you pulling this thing out and using it. Versus you had to learn in prison. See, I had to learn the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody told me. I shot guns since I was 12 years old. And
Right.
it was always love when I went back to my neighborhood. But where's the people who wasn't involved in that lifestyle saying, no, Lionel, that's just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go to jail for the rest of your life. You can do this, you can do that. And so that the community is advocating from that part. Also, resourcing the families who our kids are dying. Because it's setting a trauma wave through that family. They got 10, 11-year-olds, 6 and 7-year-olds, 2 and 3-year-olds. That everybody's not going to receive services in that family because there's not enough services to go around because the community's not involved. Now these 6 and 7-year-olds and 2 and 3-year-olds are potential shooters because we only had enough resources to work on the 11 and 10-year-olds, right?
Right.
And so the community, and then I'll give you a visual. Next time it's a gun violence, if somebody's died on the ground, they say it's dead over here, go over there and see what it looked like. You're going to see a traffic jam of community members stopping to see who was on the ground. None of them are going to stop and give that family that got the potential shooters in their mix any type of love or resources. And the only time they're going to jump in and do some of that is when it happened to one of their family members. And I can tell you because I'm on the ground floor and I done been to 50 funerals in the last 2 years.
Dang.
I done talked to hundreds of families whose kids was murdered and that could have done something before the fact.
Right. Well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, let's talk about some of the ways Love is Stronger is working with youth to prevent gun violence.
It's our duty to support veterans as they transition to their next mission, like Ben, who found his new career at Boeing through the SkillBridge program.
We lead and work with some of the most highly motivated and talented people in the country. The SkillBridge kind of helps you translate all that experience.
And Kareen, who found her next purpose with The Mission Continues.
Once you get out of the military, you don't lose that sense to want to give and to want to make a difference.
Learn more about the programs for veterans and their families at boeing.com/veterans.
Instacart helps you get beer and wine delivered in as fast as an hour. So, whether you need to fill the cooler for tailgate season or fill your glass for Pinot by the fire season, you can save time by getting fall sips delivered in just a few clicks. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply. Must be 21 or over for alcohol delivery where available. Instacart. Add life to cart.
I want to know about your program specifically. Like, how is it working with this community that has, because it's not like every kid in Portland has a gun.
A lot of kids got guns.
Like
A lot of
really?
kids got guns, yeah. And a lot of kids are seeking guns because, one, that's the American way, right? We glorify them. It's a symbol of power. A lot of kids are traumatized. And where we are coming from, this is a post-COVID symptom. Our kids are premature emotionally. They're premature socially. They don't have the tools to handle their simple conflicts. And so that it makes the conflict times 10.
So when you say that your organization is educating, are you going to actual schools? Like, tell me a little bit more about like how you're working with the youths.
So we have a youth component of our conflicts resolution team. They're called the Soldiers of Love, and they do the exact same thing that our gang veterans do. Mm-hmm. They're on the spot de-escalators. So if they're in school, if they're at the games, they're going to go into a conflict situation and give these people a brief reprieve to think. Then once a month, we have high school safe space parties where we disseminate our active bystander message. We disseminate our message of positive peer pressure, because often you hear about negative peer pressure, right?
Right.
But the flip coin, which is even the stronger side, is positive peer pressure. And we are pressing our kids, the high school ranks especially, to be leaders and to speak up when their friends are in trouble. Because our message is, if you really love this guy and you on your path, you got to leave him behind, or you got to join him back there unless you speak up and let us bring him up to your level. Because we want everybody to succeed. And then we pay our kids. And because we come from our culture here in America comes from an instant gratification kind of mindset. It's my money, I want it now, right? And a reactionary mindset. So one thing that we do is we pay our kids, right? 'Cause we want to feed that instant gratification. So we want to make sure you get paid good, but we want to feed that to defeat it. We want to say, hey, this is your reward for this. Boom, now you in the door. Now this is how you get to the next reward.
Yeah.
You got to work to build your way up. And there's a reward every step. It's not, though, you get here and it's just a kumbaya. No, you get here go another monetary incentive to get to the next level. And then we have a reactionary mindset where if somebody hits you, you hit them back. Retaliation is a must. It creates a mindset of reacting. And once you do that, then you become traumatized. Now you become a professional, poor decision maker because you're reacting out of trauma. So that's where we come with the 3-second pause. That's why we intervene. When we see conflict, we intervene so the guys that are guards in conflict are not reacting. We want to give them a chance to think. They get out of Dodge. They don't sit there and hold nobody. Y'all don't fight. Please don't do it. No, they just intervene. Whatever the tool is. Hey, we at school. Kill that noise. Leave them alone. Whatever the tool is. But it's just that brief reprieve so the guys can think. And they get out. And you know how successful that is? Because these kids ain't even thinking. They need to identify that you got to be proactive. You got to think. And there's so many tools to build that mindset. And so we have 10 kids in our program right now. And they're doing great. They are creating so much ripple in waves of positive influence through their friends because they get to throw these parties. But just imagine we have 50 kids. Then we can really impact this gun violence because now we got kids that are not only just in school or just on the streets. We got a mixture of them. And I would say what I make our kids more unique than a lot of different kids is we only accept kids who are generational gang descendants.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because gangbanging is a generational curse.
So, man, you just laid a lot down on me, Lionel. But no, I mean, because it's fighting so much. You're fighting not only generational trauma, you know, and it's like not grabbing out of air to say that African American communities have like a bit more trauma to deal with than other communities, especially here in America. And then you're a teenage boy. It's just so much. So we're approaching the end of the summer, and we tend to see violence increase in the city with the weather, it seems. What's giving you hope? Like, what's your mindset coming to a more violent season?
One of the majors that's giving me hope, Claudia, really is somebody like you, right? Because you are becoming aware of the situation. You have no magnifying glass on it. That's what we want. The more community members that we have that are aware, that are pressing our city members to do the right thing, right? To invest in programs like mine so we can have 50 kids. Right, so we can't have 50 gang veterans. Why we only got 5 or 6 gang veterans, and they got 600-700 interventions? You know how much money that saved the city?
Yeah,
$5 million to $10 million per body. How much money did we save to taxpayers?
Yeah,
but they don't want to. Guys like me are not easy to get behind because of the history that I have, the language that I speak, the type of program that I run. Because I'm directly involved in the gang culture. I'm a gang veteran. I've been on both sides of the gun. I've done everything a gang member could aspire to do. So it makes the politicians apprehensive to get on board with this kind of program.
Yeah.
And then the community members, everybody want to be the one to do it. It ain't about being the one to do it. It's about let's get it done together.
Right.
And that's what the community problem is. 'Cause I've only been free for about 4 years, so I'm still reacclimating back into the community. I'm coming to my 5th year now.
Lionel, congratulations. Seriously, that's amazing. The fact that you hit the floor, not just running, but like spreading so much love, man, like you're making me a little teary-eyed over here. Like that's something to be proud of, man. I know that the city has seen a dip in violence this year. Do you find that reassuring? Do you think that maybe your community has a bit to play in that at all? Or what are you thinking?
Well, that was a direct result of the work that we did with Safer Summer PDX. The city finally invested in us to do the work. And then we had the results after the work was over. It would have been nice to see another strong reinvestment. But I felt like a lot of people thought that was a championship when I knew it was just a kickoff. It really was just a coin toss for real. We ain't even gotten to the strategy yet. And so we need that kind of investment where we can do the work. We scaled up to 11 people. Then when it was over, we had to scale back down to 4. And so we need that same 11 guys because those guys are gang veterans. Just imagine, though, we need those guys in the fold. We don't need them out of the fold. So I'm encouraged because there's a lot of people who have their attention on gun violence, and especially even calling it gang violence, that's what I want to call it. A lot of people got their eyes on it and want to see results. I know that we're on the forefront of gun violence in Portland. I don't care what the organization is. No organization has done more gun violence prevention work than us, and that's the only subject we've ever been on. See, it's a lot of subject hoppers. We've never had no other topic but gang violence since the inception of my program. And so I'm excited that we got a lot of more people that are coming on. We got a lot of more organizations who are doing some of the same tactics that I got or employing, so that it's working. And we share information. We invite any organization that want to get involved in gun violence. We share every tactic in the way that we do it because there's enough work for everybody. We need to save these kids. And just this is another misconception that I want to make sure that everybody knows. We're not at war with the guys and girls out here shooting people. We're trying to save these kids, right? I was once one of these kids, but I shot and killed somebody. I did it. I waited. I pulled the trigger, and everybody wanted me to be thrown away, which was rightfully so. You know, I got a second chance. I don't take it for granted. But when I see guys and I know what they're doing, I see the potential in them. And we do more assist in gun violence. We also do inter-community gathering, where we get guys who look like me, who got lifestyle like I had, that got life together, and people who don't look like us. Our main participators are the Rotarians. Are you familiar with them?
No, tell me about it.
The Rotary Club?
Oh, the Rotary Group. Yeah, yes, I'm familiar with the Rotary Club, yeah.
Come on, man. Everybody know the Rotary. They're the big dogs, right? If you go anywhere in America or anywhere in the world, somebody tell you they're in the Rotary, you're going to be one of the richest, most influential people in that area. Right? There's just no question about it. And so we got a group of great family we call the Inter-Community Gathering. We meet once a month with my guys and a lot of great Rotarians. We got up to 60 people now coming. And it's all about what do we got in common versus what we don't got in common. Because we tired of hearing that you black and you white and y'all got to be separated. No, we're trying to see what size your heart is. We always say we will the big heart and we the big heart committee. So that's all we want to get is with people. We don't care what skin tone you is, what age you is, what your culture is. We in a safe space where we got older white dudes who can ask the questions, and the person ain't gonna say, "Oh, you racist," and this. Though they're gonna give you understanding. And we got younger black kids and younger black. They call me younger. I'm 40, but I guess that's how old they is. Let's say I'm younger, right? So younger dudes like myself, and I can get up close to the culture. And the benefits to our inter-community gathering has been so amazing as far as the friendships and the business knowledge that has been flowed between groups and just the power that we have together. That's why they want to separate it. And now we're getting our kids together. We're creating a youth inter-community gathering where we're getting 3 demographics and geographics. We're getting suburban Portland, Lake Oswego. We're getting urban Portland, northeast and east Portland, and we're getting rural Oregon and Corbett. And we're going to get all those kids together. Our target is 3rd graders. And our premise is we want to build their friendships now so they're not going to be like us and meet in corporate America at 40 and say, man, we could have been great friends at 20 or 15 and great allies. So we got a lot of different things. We're on a lot of different levels of community building. If you see my logo, this is how we envision the community.
He's wearing something that says love is stronger, by the way, and it's a fist and every finger is a different color, like a different skin color. It's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Well, Lionel, thank you so much for the work that you do. And I mean, if there's any way we could support you, just let me know. And if anyone listening now wants to just know how they can support you, where should they go?
Yeah, man. Look us up on our website, loveisstrongergv.org. And we're still in construction, but it got all the right components to get you ready to go, the right information. Please tap in with me anytime on our Facebook, Love is Stronger Inc. Our Instagram is bullet_free_weekend, Bullet Free Weekend. And we do any community resources. And I want to say this before we go. When people hear resources, first thing they think about is money. But that's only a tenth of the battle. Resources mean so many different things. You might have a space we can use. You might be able to give kids rides. You might be able to be a mentor. You might be able to give apprenticeships, interns, letters of recommendation. The list is so long of the things that you can do to help reduce gun violence. We need you.
Oh, well, thank you, Lionel.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day. I appreciate you.
real quick before we end the show, we are getting closer to the Halloween season and have a question for all of our listeners. Do you have any Portland ghost stories you'd want to share with us? We're putting together an eerie Halloween episode and would love to read out loud some of your scariest Portland hauntings or paranormal experiences. Send them over to portland@citycast.fm or leave us a voicemail at 503-208-5448. That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.